Hello, and welcome to the Bomb Squad. I'm writer director Andrew Hada, and I am here with my co host Joshua Whitney. Hey, there's a part three of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we're reviewing it, I guess. All part of the Texas Chainsaw Week month on the Bomb Squad.
Year?
Oh, Texas Chainsaw Year. That's a sequel to Texas Roadhouse
You,
Massacre.
you,
Josh, will you explain to us the plot of Texas Chainsaw 3 Leatherface?
yeah, no, it's two people and then a couple more people and then they're terrorized by the family and then some of them die.
Surprisingly, not enough. Okay, yeah. So this movie was made in 1990. It stars Kate Hodge, the great Kate Hodge, who did a great job, and it stars Ken Foree, the great Ken Foree, who
He
we
is
all
great in
love
this.
from
Like,
Dawn of the Dead.
I mean, he's
Both of
great in
them.
general. Yeah.
Yeah, Ken Foree's a great man. And also Vigo Mortensen in an unexpected role. He plays Tex because
Mm.
this movie's in Texas. Also, this is the only movie that wasn't filmed in Texas. It was filmed in Los Angeles. Also, it was supposed to be the start of a trilogy, but that didn't work. So, Joshua, what did you think of Leatherface hashtag Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3?
I wasn't a fan. It was
Here's
I
the
mean, okay,
thing.
there is a there's good ideas in it, and I actually think if you made it about Ken Foree as the protagonist rather than the two,
Yeah.
they are very annoying. You can't
I will say
disagree
that
with
I
me
really
there.
liked the main characters, especially Kate Hodge.
No,
I feel
she
like this
actually
is.
like because she kind of comes into it. It's that they make the guy so annoying, but not like annoying in the way you know how the part two
See,
opens
I don't
with
understand
this
how you're
two.
saying he's annoying. He doesn't even talk.
He kind of complains the whole time about how nothing is going right, but it's like
I think that I didn't find that annoying because I've driven through Texas and I also complained the whole time because it's fucking miserable. The first thing I did like was the opening crawl is back to being at least somewhat short and kind of creepy. But they also did this thing where they said that like the cook was caught and killed, and so they blamed all the murders on the cook and said that Leatherface was just one of his personalities. Like, I think that's interesting that that's how they would play it, and that's how they got off, and also that's why Leatherface is evil. But then I realized that this is probably a sequel to the first one
yeah,
because the
it's
cook
not.
clearly blows up in the second one.
Yeah, this is like I mean, it's kind of like every Halloween movie is just a sequel to the first one. It pretends the second one didn't happen, essentially.
What if
So
they were like Vietnam vet Choprin topless scene, and then like yeah, they cut to this couple, I guess, played by Kate Hodge and some guy, and I thought they were interesting. Like the last three movies, other than Stretch, like Stretch has some personality, but she kind of isn't in it enough to really have
yeah,
personality.
but what I
And
liked is
then
like the two guys are like in part two, the two like rude teens are so ridiculous that you're like, all right, this is what the movie is, and then this one they're kind of realistically like bickering the whole time. I don't know.
yeah, because they've broken up
It
and
was
they're
so
like
subdued. Well, no, they say like they're going to break up because they're like leaving to different
yeah, this
colleges
trip
or
is like
something.
their last gasp at
But he's already
the
bitter
Harvard
about
elite.
it, and she's like, "Well, let's make the best of it." But I can kind of see it's like, well, why would you want to go on a road trip with your
Yeah,
ex?
think about it this way. You were dating beautiful Kate Hodge and she's broken up with you. And now you have to drive across Texas for like 2 days to Los Angeles and you're not going to be bitter about that? I don't think so, buddy.
Well, and
Hey,
not only that,
Ryan,
but
you're in the clear, buddy. I agree with you. You're doing
at
a
the
good job.
very first stop, she's immediately being hit on by a much more attractive Vigo Mortensen, and like the guy's like getting pissed. You know, it's like this guy has a bad time of it, but.
Yeah, that guy is. This movie should be called Ryan's Worst Day because his day starts shitty and it ends shitty. They're all introduced as more interesting characters than they end up being. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like the girl is kind of introduced as this she's like a pacifist and she doesn't think anyone should be murdered, and So you're like, okay, well, I know where this is going. But I feel like my morals, like I'm also pacifist, and I don't think anyone should be murdered. But I feel like if someone's gonna eat my face and try to steal my face to wear my face, I'm gonna call that justifiable cause, and they're gonna get murdered to death. Like that's not a moral. It's not a moral quandary when the alternative is me getting eaten, and they're gonna wear my face as their face. Yeah, there's no. This isn't like oh, who's in the right here? It's like no, there's clearly someone in the wrong. And like yeah, it starts off with them hitting an armadillo. I think it was very cool to bring the armadillo back. It's the only reason I'm mentioning this scene. But yeah, so then they get to a gas station. They run into Viggo Mortensen in his best role, and he's like, I do like the idea because okay, so
Yeah,
eventually
again,
Viggo
he
Mortensen.
like that is an interesting character of this charming kind of Texas guy, you
You know
know.
what I think one of the problems is we're trying not to do just plot summaries, so we're gonna kind of be all over the place this time.
Yeah.
But I think one of the problems with this movie is there's just too many Sawyers. This
There
movie
yeah,
should have been
cuz
called Leatherface semicolon Too Many Sawyers. Um,
there's I mean, spoiler alert, he's one of them. But then there's
Spoiler
also a
alert: anyone who's in
creepy
this movie who's not road tripping is a Sawyer. Come on, guys.
he's he's one of them. There's a creepy gas station guy
With a hook hand.
with a hook hand. There's a slightly different creepy tow truck guy who's functionally the same as the gas station guy. They kind of are the same. Like they're kind of the hitchhiker from part
Yeah,
one.
I thought they were the same until
They're
the.
both him.
I thought that the gas station guy and the hook hand guy were the same guy until the hook hand guy showed up after the other guy was murdered.
Yeah, and they both kind of look the same. And then there's a mom who is a bad version of the dad, like the zombie dad. It's the mom who just has one of those voice boxes in her throat.
Yeah,
Oh, and
this
then the
movie really
worst,
went hard into. Oh, if you're poor, you're evil.
and the worst is there's a little girl who's evil and plays with evil dolls and stabs you, and it's like no. Don't-
See, I don't mind the concept of the little girl, but again, I feel like yeah, the problem isn't that any of these people are bad. Like there's a scene where Tex and not gas station guy clearly have this weird dynamic where they seem to be almost twins, but Tex is trying to like separate himself from the pack and be like the leader.
I wish you'd call me Tex. I told him.
I'm sorry, boy. God damn it, I'm sorry. Say, how'd you like to do us honor of plugging that whore up?
Yes, sir.
And I feel like that's an interesting concept, but they have so many characters that they can't play with it. Like the idea of now they're being kind of controlled by the mom is an interesting concept because it's like, oh well, she's a woman and they're all kind of sexist guys. The
and
idea
it's
of having a little
actually
kid Sawyer and how do you become a Sawyer when you're a child? Like, is she related to them? Did they just steal her at one point? Like, that's another interesting idea. But they never play with anything to the point where you feel like you're satisfied.
some of them don't die and just don't show up again. And like near the end of the movie,
Just
like
a little girl.
no, the other brother, the hook hand guy, because like Tex is like, I'm gonna go after him, and he leaves that guy in the house, and it's just like, oh, they're just there, like he was, it's just like it's a weird like. No, he,
Oh yeah, even on Wikipedia it says and presumably Tinker.
yeah, he
The
gets like he gets
Wikipedia had to
clipped.
guess as to what happened.
Yeah, it's very like they have so many that they kind of lose track of them, and they never like. And then because later at the end, when she's like, "I made it," and is like walking away in the sunset, it's like, well, did you go back and like take care of the other ones who might be hunting you? It's just like,
In this one, other than Viggo Mortensen and his twin brother or whoever that guy is, um, they don't really feel like a family. They just feel like a collection of people who live together, which again would have been interesting. Like, oh yeah, at this point the Sawyer families are pretty much dead, so they just kind of collect crazy people.
yeah, no, like an
But they don't really
implication to
play with
that.
it, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And
It's
like, there's a scene where also this movie's not that scary, but we can talk about that later. There's a scene where Kate Hodge like gets to the house and she she like meets the daughter, and then the daughter's like, look, or the little girl, and the little girl's like, look at my doll, and the doll like has a kid's skull as the doll head, and then she stabs Kate Hodge. And I was like, this is an interesting scene because this is the first scene that we see where there seems to be like some kind of like we're learning things with a character as opposed to just being told stuff or just not being told stuff, which happens a lot. Like we're just supposed to assume things, and then also then Tex comes out and he's like, ha, I was part of it the whole time, and it's like I thought you were supposed to be part of it the whole time. Yeah, so they capture Kate Hodge and then they nail her to the wood chair, and I thought that that was pretty intense. I mean, we don't see it again because it's been cut to shit. But you kind of get the idea more than other things, and
You
so
see the bottom of it, and like you see
yeah, this is the
the
first time that I was
yeah.
like, ooh,
Yeah,
that
no, that is
sucks.
effective, and that's kind of one of those where it's like, okay, they're doing what they can with this. So
And then they bring out the grandpa, and he's finally been like mummified. He's like clearly dead. But I do like that they're still because they're like, why are you doing this? And they're like, we gotta feed you blood. We gotta feed blood to grandpa. And so they just get blood from a dead person. They pour it in his mouth, and it's just like hanging out. Like that was grotesque and well done. Then the mom comes out, and she's like invalid, and she has like the voice box. She sounds like this.
and then
Um,
several brothers enter the room.
Yeah, and then like 15 brothers come out. And it's like, man, more like Texas Chainsaw. Time for you guys to move out of your mom's house. Am I right? It's kind of like I feel like this movie was a bit like that Freddy remake, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, where it went all in on the child molestation thing. Where like, yeah, there was some illusions. Like in the last one, Leatherface fell in love, and there's always been this kind of illusion that the family likes little girls or teenage girls because
Yeah, like
they're
a
girls and they're
psychosexual
guys.
horror component.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
this one like goes all in with the guys being outwardly gross, and then it has like the little girl killing people, and it's kind of like you guys explain too much, and now I'm not having fun, and I'm not being challenged in any way. So this is just unsatisfying, you know?
yeah, yeah. It's
Because
like
like if they had the same tone from two, then it'd be like kind of fun to see like the little girl and the mom. Or if they went all the way as part one and it was just like an intense, I don't know if I would have liked it, but I do know that at least would have been like, oh shit, this is like gruesome. But it's like somewhere in between where it has that like it's very straightforward as far as the movie, and it's also not like intense enough or silly enough to go one way or the other.
yeah,
So you're
it's
just kind
very
of
yeah.
like,
You're not really because you're not scared. I think that's the problem. Is like the first one's legit scary, and the second one's like legit ridiculous. It's like it doesn't really want to go either direction.
if there's any good from this movie, it's going to be the acting. Everyone does a good job, even the annoying boyfriend. The mom does a good job. Even the little girl. I mean, I don't really like children in films, but um, the little girl does a good job. I believed her as a little psychopath, and I think she did everything she needed to do. And Viggo Mortensen, obviously, even the other two that aren't really in it enough and just kind of hang around. Um, they all do a good job. I don't think anyone does a bad job.
Yeah, and I think that's what's more frustrating is that the actors aren't like the issue, and like they all kind of like bring it. It's just more like the editing and like the story is just so all over the place.
Josh, who
Who's the scariest member of
who's
the
the
family?
who is the scariest member of the Soya
See,
family in Leatherface?
if they had done it right, it would have been Viggo Mortensen as Tex, because like a charming, attractive member who still lures people in is interesting, but because he's kind of fucked up and it gets lost, it has to be Leatherface this time because he's like super powerful and the head of the family, and he has a golden chainsaw, and he can't be like tricked or reasoned with in this one in the way he could in the other ones.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that I'm gonna say Leatherface too, but I also think the answer should be nobody. Like I feel like it could have been any of them because they all had enough interest. Well, not the gas station guy, but they all had enough of an interesting dynamic to them. Like if you had done Tex and his twin brother, and they had this weird like almost sexual weird relationship that I may be reading too much into, but that could have been pretty scary. Like they like trick people by, like they're pretty much like one of them's being the wingman for the other one, pretty much. Except
Yeah, like he's the
the
good
a
one, the other one's the
goal,
bad one. Yeah.
yeah, the goal is murder. That could have been interesting. The little girl could have been interesting. Even the mom, like being head of the household, could have been interesting. But none of them really are. So you kind of just fall on the guy who's wearing another guy's face as default.
Yeah,
And
the
so,
strong chainsaw man who.
yeah,
Yes.
they should call the next one Strong Chainsaw Man. It would have been more interesting. Even like the guys who aren't in it, like the little girl, the gas station attendant, they all do a good job. And I feel like there was a story there, even if it had been a remake of
Maybe
the
it was just
original.
edited to hell too, because it also seems like a very short movie.
So yeah, so next week we are at the end of our first season of the Bomb Squad. So we're going to go out with a bang, and by bang I mean another Texas Chainsaw movie.
It's,
So we'll be doing.
I've not seen this movie, but my prediction is that this one is also a loose direct sequel to the first one that pretends 2 and 3 didn't happen and plays out similarly to part 3. I could be way off. I've never seen
You're
it.
in for quite a surprise.
A good
The next one is the
surprise or
one
bad surprise?
with what's the opposite of a good surprise? This is the one with Matthew McConaughey, the governor of Texas, and Renee Zellweger, the princess of Texas. So yeah, we go back to Texas next week, and then we're gonna take a little break because Andrew has to do some filming of his own. And also remember that my short feature film Empty Space is playing in the Columbus, Ohio theater in Columbus, Ohio for the Horror Hotel Film Festival the first week of June. So come out and support if you can. And if you feel comfortable now that Joe Biden has screwed over the entire country. Also, like and subscribe our stuff. It's really helpful. And we'll see you guys next week.